Chosen one. You did not arrive here by accident. If you are listening to this right now, it is because heaven saw the weight you have been carrying in silence, the questions you've been asking late at night, the pressure of provision, the wondering of how much longer you can keep going like this. Chosen one, that exhaustion you feel is not weakness, it is a sign that a transition is near. Archangel Michael says this moment has been appointed. What felt delayed has been protected. What looked blocked has been aligned. You are standing at the edge of a supernatural breakthrough, where the renewing of your mind becomes the doorway to provision. Scripture reminds us that transformation begins when the mind is renewed, and today, heaven is shifting the way you see, think, and receive. Anointed one. This is not about striving harder. This is about alignment. Divine provision does not arrive through panic, it flows through obedience and clarity. Archangel Michael says the battle over your thinking is ending and a new pattern of supply is being released. There is a solution forming even now, one you could not have forced on your own. Stay with me until the end of this message because faith will rise where fear once lived. If you know this word is for you, type 777 in the comments as a sign that you accept the calling of the chosen. And comment the city you live in so this anointing can concentrate where you are planted. Chosen one. Listen with the part of your spirit that has been tired of trying to figure everything out. There have been seasons where you did the right things, made the responsible choices, stayed faithful, stayed disciplined, and yet provision still felt delayed. Not denied, but delayed. And that waiting created a quiet ache inside you, a wondering, a subtle fear that maybe abundance always arrives late or only after exhaustion. Archangel Michael says this moment is where that pattern breaks not by effort, but by renewal. Anointed one, heaven is not responding to your striving right now. Heaven is responding to your alignment. There is a difference. You were never meant to carry provision in your hands before your mind was prepared to steward it. And that is why the battlefield has been your thinking. The thoughts that told you money takes time. The beliefs that whispered you must suffer longer to deserve more. Those thoughts were not born in you. They were learned. They were absorbed. And anything that is learned can be released. Archangel Michael says, remember the moments when provision surprised you, not because you planned it, but because it arrived suddenly, a refund you forgot about, a gift that came at the exact moment you needed it, an opportunity that opened faster than logic could explain. Those moments were not accidents, they were glimpses of your natural state. They were reminders that heaven is not bound by the timelines that trained your fear. Chosen one, when money came quickly before notice how your body felt. There was no tension, no negotiation, no waiting. It simply arrived. That ease is not rare. It is familiar to your spirit. The delay you've known was not divine law, it was conditioning. And Archangel Michael says this is the hour when those old conditions are being dismantled. Right now, allow yourself to see the beliefs that told you provision must be slow. See them honestly without judgment. The idea that good things take years, that abundance must be earned through depletion, that ease is suspicious. These beliefs wrap themselves around your energy like chains, not to punish you, but because you were taught to wear them. And now they are being removed. Not violently, not forcefully, but with authority. Anointed one, imagine those beliefs loosening, not because you fought them, but because truth has entered the room. Archangel Michael stands as a guardian of clarity, and clarity dissolves confusion instantly. What once felt heavy begins to lift, not because circumstances changed, but because perception did. And perception is the gate. Chosen one, step beyond the illusion that time controls provision. Time governs systems. Heaven governs supply. In the realm of alignment, nothing is waiting to be created. Everything already exists. Provision is not running toward you, it is responding to your readiness to receive. When your mind renews, doors open without noise, paths align without struggle, solutions appear without panic. I've seen this in my own life. There were seasons when I thought effort would unlock everything, and it only exhausted me. And then there were moments, quiet, surrendered moments when clarity came first and provision followed quickly. Not because I deserved it more, but because I stopped resisting it unconsciously. That shift did not happen in my bank account first. It happened in my thinking. Chosen one. This is not about miracles as rare events. Miracles suggest exception. This is restoration. Restoration is normal. Archangel Michael says heaven is reinstalling your original design, the state where receiving is natural and abundance does not argue with you. As this happens, your mind begins to recognize opportunities instead of missing them. Your intuition sharpens, your timing improves. You move differently, not rushed, not delayed, but aligned. Now allow a new truth to settle gently into you. Provision responds quickly to a renewed mind, not because the world changes instantly, but because you do. When your internal resistance dissolves, flow has permission to move. You may feel a subtle click, a sense of recognition. That is alignment locking into place. Anointed one, take a breath and feel the shift. This is not hype. This is calm authority. Your nervous system begins to relax. Your thoughts slow down. And in that stillness, abundance finds space. Archangel Michael says peace is the signal heaven responds to. Panic blocks. Peace invites. Now imagine your awareness opening, not forcing anything, not visualizing to control outcomes, but allowing yourself to receive. It feels like lightness. It feels like clarity. It feels like knowing you do not have to chase what is already assigned to you. This is where alignment deepens. Chosen one. Your energy begins to recalibrate. You may feel warmth, or clarity, or nothing at all. All are valid. The work is happening beneath sensation. Old patterns are releasing. New pathways are forming. This is renewal, not dramatic, but permanent. As this renewal continues, you become more receptive without becoming passive. You are alert, but not anxious. Expectant, but not desperate. This state is powerful. This is where provision accelerates naturally. When you are no longer arguing with timing, timing cooperates with you. Archangel Michael says you are entering a window where awareness matters. Signs will feel clearer. Nudges will feel stronger. You will notice ideas arriving without force. Conversations that matter will surface. Opportunities will feel obvious instead of confusing. This is not coincidence. This is alignment expressing itself in the physical world. Chosen one. If doubt arises, do not fight it. Fighting feeds it. Simply return to the knowing you are already held, already supported, already aligned. You are not convincing heaven of anything. Heaven is convincing you. And as this settles, understand this deeply. You are not late. You are not behind. You are being prepared. The renewing of your mind is not the final step. It is the unlocking step. From here, provision does not need permission from struggle. It responds to clarity. Take another breath. Let this truth anchor. Archangel Michael says, what has been blocked is now unblocked, not because something external changed, but because you did. And from this alignment, provision flows naturally, quietly, and powerfully into your life. Chosen one. As this renewal settles deeper, notice how the urgency that once lived in your chest begins to soften. That urgency was never intuition. It was pressure learned from survival. Archangel Michael says you were trained to move from lack, not from alignment. And when the mind renews, the body follows. Your breathing steadies, your thoughts slow. You begin to sense that provision is not something you chase, but something that recognizes you. Anointed One, heaven does not fund anxiety. It funds clarity. There is a quiet authority that begins to form inside you when you stop rehearsing worst-case scenarios and start recognizing divine order. This authority does not shout. It does not panic. It listens. And when you listen, you begin to hear timing instead of noise. Think about how many decisions you made simply to relieve pressure. Jobs taken out of fear, agreements accepted too quickly, paths chosen because waiting felt unbearable. Archangel Michael says none of that disqualified you, but it trained your nervous system to expect struggle before relief. That training ends now. The renewing of your mind breaks the agreement with rushed provision. Chosen One, provision that arrives through fear always carries cost. Provision that arrives through alignment carries peace. And peace is the confirmation. When heaven releases supply, it does not rush you. It steadies you. You may feel a subtle hesitation rising now, not resistance, but discernment. That is your spirit waking up to timing again. I want you to reflect on moments when you sensed an inner weight, but ignored it because you were tired of waiting. I've been there. There were times I pushed doors open only to realize later that I had outrun grace. And there were other times, quiet, almost uncomfortable pauses, where waiting felt like loss, but later revealed itself as protection. Archangel Michael says wisdom often feels like delay to a hurried mind. Anointed One. Your mind is being retrained to recognize divine pacing. Heaven moves with precision, not urgency. When your thoughts align with that rhythm, your life begins to align with provision without force. You stop over-explaining. You stop negotiating your worth. You stop feeling like you must prove readiness through exhaustion. Chosen One, notice how the idea of earning provision begins to loosen. Earning belongs to systems. Receiving belongs to alignment. This does not remove responsibility. It removes distortion. You still act, but your actions come from clarity, not fear. From direction, not desperation. Archangel Michael says there is a difference between effort and strain. Effort is clean, strain is heavy. Effort flows, strain resists. As your mind renews, you will begin to feel which actions are aligned and which are compensations. Aligned actions energize you even when they require discipline. Compensations drain you even when they appear productive. Chosen One. This is how discernment sharpens. You will notice subtle shifts. Certain options will lose their appeal. Certain invitations will feel hollow. Certain paths will suddenly feel obvious. This is not loss. This is clarity arriving. And clarity attracts provision because clarity knows where to stand. There is a spiritual principle at work here, one echoed in Scripture, when it speaks of peace guarding the heart and mind. Peace is not the absence of movement. It is the presence of order. When peace guards your thinking, confusion cannot drain your energy. And when confusion leaves, provision finds access. Anointed One, allow yourself to imagine receiving without bracing for disappointment. This is harder than it sounds because disappointment trained you to stay guarded. But Archangel Michael says, guarded hearts resist flow even when abundance is near. Vulnerability is not weakness here. It is openness to receive without flinching. I remember a season when I finally allowed myself to expect good without immediately questioning it. Nothing external changed overnight, but something internal did. Opportunities began to arrive with less friction. Conversations flowed differently. Timing synchronized. It felt as though life stopped arguing with me. That was not coincidence. That was alignment. Chosen one. Your mind is learning to stop arguing with provision. Arguments sound like it's too good to last, or something will go wrong, or I should prepare for loss. Those thoughts once protected you. They no longer serve you. Thank them and release them. Archangel Michael says the renewal you are experiencing is not emotional hype, it is structural. Old mental frameworks are being replaced. This takes place quietly. You may not feel dramatic sensations, but you will notice changes in how you respond. Less urgency, less fear, more precision. Now consider how this affects your daily life. When the mind renews, you manage time differently. You speak differently. You listen more closely. You stop filling silence with worry. And in that silence, instruction arrives. Provision often arrives through instruction, not miracles. Chosen one instruction might come as an idea, a nudge, a conversation that catches your attention, a sudden clarity about something you've avoided. Do not dismiss these moments because they don't look supernatural. Heaven often moves through the ordinary when alignment is present. Anointed one, you are not being asked to do more. You are being asked to see differently. Seeing precedes receiving. When you see provision as already arranged rather than desperately needed, your posture changes. And posture determines access. Archangel Michael says your role now is responsiveness, not forcing. When something aligns, respond. When something feels heavy, pause. This discernment keeps you within the current of provision rather than swimming against it. Notice how your body responds when something is aligned. There is calm. When something is misaligned, there is agitation. This is not emotion, it is information. Your renewed mind can now read it accurately. Chosen one. This renewal is also teaching you to trust timing again. Not the timing that delayed you endlessly, but divine timing that synchronizes. You may notice that things begin to happen closer together, that what once took months now resolves in weeks or days. This is not because time sped up, it is because resistance slowed down. I want you to sit with that truth. Resistance slows manifestation more than time ever could. And resistance often hides in beliefs that sound responsible but feel heavy. As those beliefs dissolve, movement becomes natural. Archangel Michael says you are learning to rest without disengaging. Rest here is alert, calm, not passivity. From this place you become magnetic without trying. You attract solutions because you are no longer blocking them. Anointed one, allow this phase to deepen. Do not rush it. Ironically, patience here accelerates outcomes. When you stop measuring progress, anxiously progress measures itself through results. As this renewal continues, you will feel a quiet confidence growing, not arrogance, not entitlement, but stability. Stability is attractive. It signals readiness. Heaven responds to readiness, not desperation. Chosen one, remain present, remain receptive. Let your thinking stay open, calm and clear. Provision does not need to be convinced of your worth. It needs space to arrive. Chosen one, as this clarity stabilizes within you, you may begin to notice something subtle but powerful. Your relationship with expectation is changing. Expectation once felt dangerous because disappointment trained you to stay neutral, guarded, or cautiously hopeful. But Archangel Michael says expectation is not the enemy. Distorted expectation is. Pure expectation is faith in motion. Anointed one. Pure expectation does not demand outcomes. It trusts order. It allows good to arrive without interrogating it. This is where many lose alignment, not because they lack faith, but because they interrogate blessing before it has time to land. The renewed mind learns to receive without suspicion. Notice how often your thoughts once tried to predict disappointment before joy could fully form. That reflex was survival, not wisdom. It kept you from being hurt again, but it also kept you from being fully available to receive. Archangel Michael says you are safe now to let joy complete its cycle. This does not mean ignoring discernment. Discernment remains sharp, but discernment does not feel anxious. Anxiety pretends to be discernment, but it carries urgency and fear. True discernment carries calm and clarity. As your mind renews, you can feel the difference instantly. Chosen one, heaven is training you to stay open longer, to let moments of peace stretch instead of rushing to the next worry, to let good news settle instead of bracing for reversal. This openness is not naive, it is alignment. There is a reason Scripture speaks of guarding the heart and mind. Guarding does not mean closing, it means filtering. And your filter is being upgraded. You are learning to let in what nourishes and block what drains without overthinking either. I want you to reflect on how many times you minimized good things because they felt unfamiliar. Compliments dismissed, opportunities questioned, help refused because independence felt safer. I've done this myself, pushing away what could support me because I didn't want to depend or hope too much. Archangel Michael says, independence born from fear is different from strength born from alignment. Anointed one receiving does not weaken you, it positions you. When you receive well, you steward better. And stewardship is what heaven trusts. The renewed mind understands that provision is not about accumulation, it is about flow. Flow requires openness. When the heart tightens, flow slows. When the mind resists, pathways narrow. But when clarity, peace, and openness align, movement becomes natural. This is not mystical, it is practical spiritual law. Chosen one, you may notice your language changing. You speak with less apology. You explain less. You trust more. This is not arrogance. It is certainty replacing self-doubt. Certainty does not need to announce itself. It simply stands. Archangel Michael says certainty is magnetic, not loud certainty, but settled certainty. When your inner world is settled, your outer world reorganizes quietly. People respond differently. Opportunities find you differently. Timing feels kinder. Now consider how this affects your sense of worth. Worth that depends on performance fluctuates. Worth that rests in identity stabilizes. The renewed mind shifts worth from outcome-based to identity-based. And when worth stabilizes, you stop tolerating what drains you. Chosen one, boundaries become clearer, not rigid but natural. You no longer say yes to relieve guilt. You no longer say no out of fear. You respond from alignment. This alone opens channels of provision because misaligned commitments are one of the greatest blockages. There were seasons when I said yes to everything thinking it would lead to opportunity. Instead, it led to burnout. Later, when I learned to wait for alignment, fewer doors opened, but the right ones stayed open, and provision flowed with less resistance. Archangel Michael says the renewed mind recognizes quality over quantity. One aligned opportunity carries more provision than many misaligned ones combined. This truth changes how you measure progress. You may also notice changes in how you perceive time. Time feels less heavy. Deadlines feel less threatening. Waiting feels less punitive. This is because your mind is no longer fighting time, it is cooperating with timing. Chosen. One timing is relational. It responds to readiness. When readiness increases, timing accelerates. When resistance decreases, pathways shorten. This is why some breakthroughs feel sudden. They were not sudden in preparation, only in release. As this awareness deepens, you may feel moments of stillness that feel unfamiliar. Not boredom, but quiet. Do not rush to fill this quiet. Quiet is where instruction surfaces. Noise drowns guidance. Stillness invites it. Archangel Michael says many answers you've been seeking are already present, waiting for silence to be noticed. When the mind renews, silence becomes productive rather than uncomfortable. Anointed One, pay attention to subtle nudges. The urge to rest. The idea to reach out. The sense to pause before acting. These are not random. They are coordination points between heaven and your awareness. You may also notice resistance from old habits. The impulse to overthink, to rush, to doubt ease. When this happens, do not shame yourself. Simply observe and return to clarity. Habits dissolve through awareness, not force. Chosen One, the renewed mind is not perfected overnight. It is stabilized through practice. Each time you choose peace over panic, clarity over chaos, you strengthen alignment. Alignment compounds. Archangel Michael says you are entering a phase where compound alignment produces compound provision. Small shifts accumulate into noticeable changes. Conversations connect. Ideas align. Resources mobilize. This is flow in motion. I want you to recognize something important. Provision is not only financial, it shows up as energy, support, insight, timing, favor. When you stop narrowing provision to money alone, you begin to receive more holistically, and money follows holistic alignment naturally. Chosen One, you were never meant to survive provisionally. You were meant to live supported. Support does not remove effort, it removes isolation. And isolation is one of the greatest drains on abundance. As your mind renews, you no longer feel alone in decision-making. You sense partnership. Guidance feels accessible. This is not imagination, it is attunement. Archangel Michael says heaven partners with clarity, not confusion. The clearer you become internally, the more cooperation you experience externally. This cooperation feels like grace, but it is alignment expressed. Allow this truth to settle deeply. You are not trying to convince life to work. Life is responding to your renewed orientation. When orientation changes, outcomes follow. Stay present, stay open, stay calm. Let clarity continue to do its quiet work. Provision recognizes alignment, and alignment is now becoming your natural state. Chosen One, as this renewed orientation becomes familiar, something even deeper begins to shift your relationship with trust. Not surface-level trust, not positive thinking, but embodied trust, the kind that lives in the nervous system, not just the mind. Archangel Michael says this is where true provision accelerates, because heaven does not only respond to belief, it responds to embodiment. Anointed One. Many people say they trust God, yet their bodies remain braced for loss. Their shoulders stay tense, their breathing stays shallow, their thoughts stay rehearsed for disappointment. That tension quietly resists flow. Not because heaven withholds, but because the vessel is still armored, and armor, while protective, blocks reception. Notice now how your body feels as you listen. Are you gripping? Are you holding your breath? Or are you allowing yourself to soften? This matters more than you were ever taught. When the body relaxes, the mind listens. When the mind listens, instruction arrives. And when instruction arrives, provision follows with precision. Archangel Michael says you are being taught how to stand without bracing, to expect without clenching, to hope without holding your breath. This is not recklessness. This is maturity. A child braces because they fear being dropped. An adult rests because they know who is holding them. Chosen one, think back to seasons when you were constantly preparing for collapse, even during stability. That hypervigilance once kept you safe, but now it keeps you tired. Heaven is not asking you to lower your standards. Heaven is asking you to lower your guard. Lowering your guard does not mean trusting everything and everyone. It means trusting alignment. It means trusting that when something is meant for you, it arrives with peace, not pressure, not confusion, not urgency. I want to speak from lived experience here. There was a time when even good news made me anxious. Opportunity felt like a test. Support felt like a trap. I didn't realize I was still negotiating survival while asking for abundance. It wasn't until my body learned to relax that my life learned to flow. Archangel Michael says the renewed mind teaches the body to stand down, to stop sounding the alarm when ease appears. Because ease is not danger, it is alignment. As this happens, you may notice your reactions changing. Situations that once triggered fear now invite curiosity. Delays that once felt threatening now feel neutral. You respond instead of react. This is not emotional numbness. This is regulation. Regulation is spiritual. A regulated system can receive more because it does not waste energy on defense, and provision requires capacity. Not moral capacity, not effort capacity, but energetic and emotional capacity. Chosen one, heaven does not overload unstable systems. It stabilizes them first. That stabilization is happening now. You may feel moments of deep calm followed by waves of old anxiety. This is normal. Old patterns surface to release. Do not interpret their appearance as failure. It is clearance. Archangel Michael says, when old fear rises, do not analyze it. Do not negotiate with it. Simply return to the body. Breathe. Feel your feet. Let presence replace panic. Presence is a signal heaven recognizes instantly. Now consider how this affects your decisions. A regulated mind does not rush. It senses timing. It knows when to act and when to wait. And waiting no longer feels like loss. It feels like positioning. Chosen one, waiting from fear drains you. Waiting from alignment strengthens you. The difference is subtle but powerful. Fear-based waiting counts seconds. Alignment-based waiting counts clarity. There were moments in my life when waiting felt unbearable because I was waiting alone with my thoughts. Later, I learned to wait with awareness instead. The difference was night and day. Waiting became informative rather than punishing. Archangel Michael says you are learning to wait with heaven, not against yourself. This transforms the experience entirely. When you wait with heaven, you notice signs. You receive instruction. You feel guided rather than stuck. This is also where trust deepens. Trust is not passive belief. It is active openness. It allows life to surprise you again, and surprise is part of abundance. Predictable provision is limited. Inspired provision is expansive. Chosen one, your renewed mind is also learning to let go of control disguised as responsibility. Control once felt like wisdom, now it feels heavy. You may notice the urge to micromanage outcomes loosening. This does not make you careless, it makes you responsive. Archangel Michael says control contracts timelines. Responsiveness expands them. When you respond to what is present instead of forcing what is absent, alignment accelerates. This responsiveness changes how you approach money, work, and opportunity. You stop asking, how do I make this happen, and start asking, what is being invited? That single shift opens new channels. Anointed one, invitations feel different than demands. Invitations feel light. They respect your boundaries. They align with your values. Demands feel heavy. They pressure you. They rush you. The renewed mind can tell the difference instantly. As this discernment sharpens, you may walk away from things you once chased. This is not loss, it is refinement. Refinement always precedes expansion. Heaven trims before it multiplies. Think of scripture where pruning is described as preparation for greater fruitfulness. Pruning feels like reduction, but it creates capacity. In the same way, releasing misaligned paths creates room for provision that fits. Chosen one, you are also learning to trust yourself again. Not ego trust, but attuned trust. Trusting your inner sense, trusting the quiet yes and the quiet no. This self-trust was eroded by seasons where survival required constant override. It is being restored now. Archangel Michael says restored self-trust is essential for stewardship. You cannot steward abundance if you do not trust your own discernment, and discernment grows through practice, not perfection. Now notice how this restoration affects your sense of identity. You no longer define yourself by scarcity or struggle. Those were seasons, not names. Your identity is shifting from survivor to steward. A steward does not panic when resources fluctuate. They manage with wisdom. They trust supply. They plan without fear. This identity shift alone changes how provision approaches you. Chosen one, heaven is not impressed by hustle. Heaven is attracted to alignment. Alignment signals readiness. Readiness invites responsibility. Responsibility carries provision. As this settles, allow yourself to feel gratitude without urgency. Gratitude that is not trying to secure the future, but honoring the present. This kind of gratitude grounds abundance. Archangel Michael says, gratitude stabilizes frequency, not performative gratitude, but honest appreciation. Appreciation for clarity, appreciation for peace, appreciation for support even before it fully manifests. Let this appreciation anchor in your body. Feel it soften your chest. Feel it slow your thoughts. This is not a technique, it is a state, and states determine outcomes. Chosen one, remain here for a moment. Calm, present, open. Let trust continue to form naturally. You are not falling behind. You are settling into alignment. And from alignment, provision flows without strain. Chosen one, as this embodied trust continues to take root, you may begin to sense a new kind of confidence forming within you. Not the loud confidence that needs validation, and not the fragile confidence that depends on outcomes, but a quiet certainty that feels steady even when circumstances are still unfolding. Archangel Michael says this certainty is a sign that your inner alignment is now leading your outer life. This is where many people become confused. They expect confidence to appear after provision arrives. But heaven works in reverse. Confidence is established first, so provision has somewhere stable to land. Without stability, abundance creates stress. With stability, abundance creates expansion. And right now, stability is being formed inside you. Anointed one, notice how your thoughts are no longer racing to the future as often. When they do, they return more easily to the present. This is not because you stopped caring, it is because you stopped fearing. Fear always drags the mind forward, searching for control. Alignment anchors the mind in now, where instruction lives. I want you to recognize how powerful this is. When you are present, you hear more clearly. When you hear clearly, you move precisely. And precision attracts provision because it wastes nothing. Heaven loves precision. There were seasons when I confused urgency with importance. I thought if something felt urgent, it must matter. Over time, I learned that urgency often hides insecurity. The things that truly mattered arrived with calm authority. Archangel Michael says you are learning this distinction now, not intellectually, but experientially. Chosen one. This calm authority changes how others perceive you as well. People sense when someone is internally anchored. They trust it. They respond to it. Opportunities gravitate toward it. Not because you demand them, but because you are no longer leaking energy. Energy leaks through overthinking, over-explaining, and over-preparing for rejection. As those habits dissolve, your presence becomes cleaner. Cleaner presence attracts cleaner opportunities. Anointed one, you may also notice that your tolerance for chaos is decreasing. Situations that once felt normal now feel draining. This is not because you are becoming rigid. It is because your nervous system no longer confuses chaos with familiarity. Familiar does not mean aligned. Archangel Michael says many people stay loyal to chaos because it feels known, but known does not mean safe. Your renewed mind now recognizes safety through peace, not repetition. As this awareness sharpens, you may feel called to simplify. Simplify schedules, simplify commitments, simplify conversations. This is not withdrawal, this is refinement. Simplification creates space. Space invites flow. Think of a river. When debris clears, water moves faster without force. In the same way as unnecessary mental and emotional clutter clears, provision moves with less resistance. Chosen one. This is also where your relationship with money itself begins to change. Money no longer feels like a verdict on your worth or a measure of your safety. It becomes a tool. Tools do not define the builder, they assist the work. When money stops carrying emotional charge, it stops controlling decisions. And when it stops controlling decisions, it starts cooperating with purpose. This shift alone changes how money approaches you. I've seen people receive large amounts and lose peace instantly because their inner structure could not hold it. I've also seen people receive modest increases and experience profound freedom because their structure was ready. Heaven does not measure success by amount alone, it measures sustainability. Archangel Michael says sustainability is the key word for this season. Not quick relief followed by stress, but steady flow supported by clarity. This is why your mind is being renewed before visible provision multiplies. Chosen one, allow yourself to trust this process. The temptation to rush is old programming. The desire to stabilize internally before expanding externally is wisdom. Wisdom does not delay fulfillment, it protects it. As this wisdom settles, you may notice your prayers changing. Less pleading, more listening. Less asking for rescue, more asking for guidance. This is not loss of faith, it is maturity of faith. Prayer becomes conversation rather than negotiation, and conversations reveal nuance. Nuance reveals timing. Timing reveals doors that do not require force. Anointed one, notice how your expectations around how provision arrives are loosening. You are no longer insisting on specific channels. This flexibility is important. Rigid expectations block unexpected pathways. Archangel Michael says provision rarely arrives through the channel you fixate on. It arrives through the channel you are open to. Openness multiplies options. You may begin to see connections forming that make no sense yet. Conversations that feel casual but linger in your awareness. Ideas that return gently instead of demanding attention. These are not distractions, they are signals. Do not rush to label them. Let them breathe. Alignment often reveals itself through repetition, not urgency. What is meant for you will return without pressure. Chosen one. Your renewed mind is also teaching you to respect cycles, rest cycles, work cycles, reflection cycles. You no longer push through exhaustion, thinking it proves commitment. You recognize that exhaustion distorts perception. Archangel Michael says rest is not reward, it is maintenance. Without maintenance, systems fail. With maintenance, systems thrive. Thriving systems attract responsibility and resources. This is where many misunderstand abundance. They think abundance demands constant output. In truth, abundance responds to sustainable rhythm. Rhythm creates trust. Trust creates partnership. Heaven partners with those who can maintain rhythm. This is why your sleep, breath, and pacing matter now more than ever. They are not distractions from spirituality, they are expressions of it. Anointed One, allow yourself to feel supported by the unseen, not in a dramatic way but in a grounded one. Support feels like steadiness, not spectacle, like being held without being watched. When support is internalized, external support appears naturally. People show up, resources align, timing synchronizes, not because you demanded it, but because you stopped resisting it. Chosen One, your role now is not to accelerate the process, but to remain available to it. Availability is not passive waiting, it is attentive presence. It listens, it notices, it responds. As availability increases, alignment deepens. As alignment deepens, provision stabilizes. This is not theory, this is pattern. You are learning the pattern from the inside out. Let this confidence continue to grow quietly. Do not announce it prematurely. Let it anchor. Roots grow in silence. Fruit appears later. Archangel Michael says you are not being rushed because what is forming needs depth. Depth sustains weight, and weight carries responsibility. Responsibility attracts provision. Stay here, calm, clear, grounded. Trust the structure being built within you. When the structure is ready, what belongs to you will arrive without resistance, and it will stay. Chosen One, as everything we have been aligning settles into place, you may begin to recognize a profound shift in how you relate to the future. The future no longer feels like something you must outrun or brace against. It feels closer, friendlier, responsive. Archangel Michael says this is the moment when time itself begins to cooperate with you because you are no longer at war with it. For so long, time felt like an enemy. Deadlines pressed, seasons slipped away. You measured yourself against clocks, calendars, and milestones that never seemed to match your inner reality. That constant comparison trained your spirit to feel late, even when you were perfectly placed. But now, with your mind renewed and your body regulated, you are stepping into divine timing instead of human urgency. Anointed One. Divine timing does not rush, and it does not delay. It aligns. Alignment feels like things clicking without explanation. Conversations happen at the right moment. Decisions land with clarity. What once required force now responds to invitation. This is not because you finally figured everything out. It is because resistance has softened. Archangel Michael says, when resistance leaves, cooperation begins. Cooperation between heaven and earth. Cooperation between intention and opportunity. Cooperation between who you are becoming and what is becoming available to you. Notice how your relationship with effort continues to change. You still act, you still move, but effort no longer drains you the way it used to. There is less internal friction. Less arguing with yourself, less second-guessing after decisions are made. This is the sign of congruence. When inner and outer direction match, energy flows efficiently. Chosen One. Congruence is one of the highest forms of spiritual alignment. It means your thoughts, emotions, actions, and values are no longer pulling in different directions. And when they move together, life responds quickly. I want to speak honestly here. There were seasons when I prayed for provision but resisted alignment. I wanted relief without restructuring. I wanted results without internal change. And even when something arrived, it didn't stay. Not because heaven took it away, but because I wasn't yet built to sustain it. Sustainability is mercy. Archangel Michael says, what is arriving for you now is designed to last. That is why this process focused so deeply on renewal rather than speed. Speed without structure creates loss. Structure invites continuity. As this truth anchors, you may feel a new sense of responsibility rising, not pressure, but stewardship. Stewardship feels like care, like respect, like awareness that what arrives is not just for consumption, but for purpose. Chosen one purpose is what stabilizes abundance. Without purpose, abundance destabilizes the mind. With purpose, abundance strengthens identity. Identity-rooted abundance does not inflate ego, it grounds it. Now notice how your sense of identity has shifted. You are no longer defining yourself by what you lack or what you are trying to fix. You are beginning to define yourself by how you move, how you choose, how you respond. This is maturity, and maturity attracts trust. Heaven entrusts resources to those who demonstrate maturity before multiplication. This is not punishment, it is wisdom, and you are demonstrating it now through clarity, restraint, and alignment. Anointed One, you may also feel moments of excitement rising, not anxious excitement, but grounded anticipation. This anticipation does not ask, what if it doesn't happen? It asks, how will I steward it when it does? That question alone signals readiness. Archangel Michael says readiness shifts reality. When readiness is present, doors open without announcement. You may find yourself stepping into situations that feel familiar even though they are new. That familiarity is resonance. Resonance means your internal frequency matches the opportunity's frequency. When frequencies match, attraction happens naturally. There is no chase, no persuasion, just recognition. Chosen One, let yourself trust recognition. You do not have to convince the right people, the right opportunities, or the right resources of your worth. What is aligned will recognize you instantly. What is misaligned will fade without effort. This realization alone frees enormous energy. Energy once spent proving can now be spent creating. Energy once spent defending can now be spent building. This is how provision multiplies through redirected energy. Notice how your creativity may be waking up again. Ideas that once felt distant or impractical now feel approachable. Creativity is not separate from provision. It is one of its primary channels. Heaven funds what flows through you naturally. Archangel Michael says creativity thrives in safety. When the nervous system feels safe, imagination expands, and expanded imagination sees solutions others miss. This is why peace is productive. Anointed One, allow your imagination to be curious again, not to escape reality, but to engage it from a higher perspective. Imagination aligned with clarity becomes vision. Vision directs provision. You may also begin to feel gratitude emerging spontaneously, not as discipline, but as response. Gratitude that arises naturally signals satisfaction in the present moment. Satisfaction does not mean complacency, it means wholeness. Wholeness is powerful. It tells the universe you are not trying to fill a void. You are expanding from fullness. Expansion from fullness attracts abundance that enhances rather than compensates. Chosen One, you are learning to receive without needing to collapse into relief. Relief is temporary. Integration is lasting. Integration allows good things to settle into your life without upheaval. Archangel Michael says integration is the final seal of this alignment. When something integrates, it becomes part of your normal experience rather than a spike followed by fear. you may notice that your reactions to money-related thoughts are calmer. Numbers no longer spike anxiety immediately. Decisions feel measured. This does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop over-identifying. Over-identification binds energy. Healthy relationship frees it. This applies to money, work, and even purpose. When purpose becomes obsession, it distorts. When purpose becomes orientation, it guides. Chosen one orientation is what you have now. You are oriented toward alignment rather than outcome, toward clarity rather than control, toward stewardship rather than survival. As this orientation stabilizes, trust that what needs to appear will appear. Not because you demand it, but because you are ready to hold it. Readiness is the invitation heaven responds to most. Archangel Michael says there is nothing more you need to force, fix, or figure out in this moment. The work has been internal and it has been done faithfully. Now life responds. Remain attentive, remain grounded, remain open. Let your actions arise from clarity, not urgency. Let your expectations stay flexible, not rigid. Let your trust stay embodied, not theoretical. You are no longer preparing for provision. You are positioned for it. And when provision recognizes position, it arrives with stability, purpose, and peace. Chosen one, take a moment and breathe this in. What has been spoken over you is not theory, and it is not wishful thinking. A supernatural transfer is already in motion, and you are standing in your exact Kairos moment, the divinely appointed time where alignment meets provision. Archangel Michael says this renewal of your mind has opened a gate that cannot be closed by fear, delay, or past limitation. Anointed one, you are not leaving this moment the same way you entered it. Heaven has marked this transition. What once felt heavy is lifting. What once felt distant is drawing near. Stay faithful to what has shifted within you, because inner alignment always precedes visible manifestation. Let gratitude rise now, not for what you see yet, but for what has already been authorized in the Spirit. I bless you with clarity, peace, and courage to walk forward without hesitation. I declare that provision will recognize you, opportunities will locate you, and divine order will govern every next step. Remain aligned, remain receptive, and watch how effortlessly heaven responds. If this word resonated with your spirit, you may quietly affirm it by commenting 777, and if you feel led, share the city you are standing in, so the anointing may focus where you are planted. Stay connected, stay aligned, and look ahead with expectation. Something holy is unfolding for you now.